Okay, y'all, grab your popcorn because this story is absolutely explosive. Jay-Z, yes, rap mogul, music legend, billionaire, is firing back hard at a woman who accused him of some super serious stuff. And let me tell you, it's messy. Real messy. And now, her own lawyer is basically admitting there are some major holes in her story. Oh, and by the way, Diddy is involved too, which takes this whole thing to another level. So buckle up, because we're diving into all the details. And trust me, there's a lot to unpack here. All right, here's the tea. A woman who's going by Jane Doe to keep her identity private filed a lawsuit back in October accusing both Jay-Z and Diddy of assault. She says this all happened at an after-party following the MTV VMAs way back in 2000 when she was just 13 years old. I know, it's heavy. And trust me, this story just keeps getting crazier the more you hear it. Now, let's rewind for a second and break this down step by step. When Jane Doe first filed this lawsuit, Jay-Z wasn't even named in it. Nope, he was only referred to as Celebrity A. But then, just a few days ago, her lawyer Tony Buzbee decided to amend the complaint, and boom, he put Jay-Z's real name, Sean Carter, right in there for everyone to see. Now, let me tell y'all about Tony Buzbee. If you don't know who he is, Buzbee is not your average lawyer. He's flashy, he's bold, and let's just say he's no stranger to high-profile cases that get the media buzzing. So the minute he named Jay-Z in this lawsuit, it was on. Jay-Z's lawyer, Alex Spiro, who's basically a legal shark, swooped in faster than you can say, "Not today." And now Spiro is demanding this whole lawsuit get thrown out of court. Trust me, Jay-Z's legal team is coming out swinging, and they're swinging hard. But before we get into all of that, let's talk about what Jane Doe actually says happened, because this is where things get really intense. According to Jane Doe, everything started at the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards. Now picture this. She says she was only 13 years old at the time, and she didn't even have a ticket to the event. So instead of getting in, she just hung out outside Radio City Music Hall in New York, talking to limo drivers. Here's where things take a creepy turn. Jane Doe says one of the limo drivers told her that he worked for Sean Combs, aka Diddy. And according to her, the driver told her that Diddy likes younger girls. I know, super uncomfortable to hear. And that she was just his type. Ooh, right? Jane Doe says the driver told her to come back later after the VMAs ended and he'd take her to an after party. And according to her, that's exactly what she did. She claims the driver took her to a house where there were other celebrities hanging out, drinking and partying. Jane Doe says she was given a drink that made her feel woozy, like she couldn't even think straight. At some point, she says she was taken into a room where there was just one bed, and that's when things allegedly took a dark and disturbing turn. According to her, Sean Combs, Diddy, came into the room first. She says he told her, "You are ready to party," in the worst way. She claims he grabbed her, threw her against a wall, and then onto the bed. And then, she says Jay-Z started taking her clothes off as she got more and more out of it. And here's where it gets even worse. She claims that while Diddy and Jay-Z assaulted her, there was a female celebrity, who she's calling Celebrity B, just standing there watching. To this day, we still don't know who Celebrity B is supposed to be. Okay, so fast forward to last Friday. NBC News aired a big interview with Jane Doe. And y'all, this is where things got a little shaky. On camera, Jane Doe admitted that some of her details might be wrong. Specifically, she said, and I quote, "I have made some mistakes." But she still stands by her overall story. Here's the thing. When you're making accusations this serious, any inconsistencies can be a huge problem. And guess what? Jay-Z's lawyer, Alex Spiro, wasted no time calling her out. Spiro wrote, "Basic facts in her narrative, the who, what, when, and where, are wrong." She claims her father picked her up after the assault. Her own father denies that ever happened. She claims she spoke with Benji Madden at the party that night, but he was on tour in the Midwest at the time, forcing her to admit, "I have made some mistakes." Y'all, Spiro didn't stop there. He pointed out that Jane Doe claimed the party happened at Diddy's house, but photos from that night show Diddy and Jay-Z were both at a nightclub called Lotus, not at some private house party. And the kicker, Spiro says Jane Doe admitted she's been guessing about certain details, like how long it took to get to the venue. So far, no other witnesses have come forward to back up her story. Now Jane Doe's lawyer, Tony Buzbee, is still standing by his client. But it sounds like even he's feeling the heat. He released this statement. Our client remains fiercely adamant that what she has stated is true to the best of her memory. We will continue to vet her claims and corroborating data to the extent it exists. Because we have interrogated her intensely, she has even agreed to submit to a polygraph. Okay, so props to Jane Doe for agreeing to a polygraph test. That's a bold move. But here's the thing. If these inconsistencies keep piling up, it's going to be really tough for her case to hold water, especially against someone like Jay-Z, who's got endless resources to fight this. And speaking of Jay-Z, y'all, he's not holding back. Here's what he had to say about the whole thing. Today's investigative report proves this attorney Buzbee filed a false complaint against me in the pursuit of money and fame. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory. And Diddy's lawyers, they're backing him up too, saying this is just another example of people making false claims for money. So for those who haven't been keeping up, Jay-Z filed a pretty major extortion lawsuit against Tony Buzbee. Yeah, that's right. Jay-Z isn't playing any games, and he's got the legal and PR machine fully locked and loaded. Here's the thing though. Before Buzbee decided to go public with this case and unmask his client, he should have done his homework. I get that his client is still moving forward as Jane Doe, but this is serious stuff. You don't just throw out allegations like this against someone as powerful as Jay-Z without having all your ducks in a row. Now let me be clear, I'm not saying what Jane Doe is claiming didn't happen. But you know how this goes. When there are holes or inconsistencies in someone's story, people, especially jurors and the public, start side-eyeing it real hard. And let's be honest, they might start thinking she's not telling the truth. This is where Buzbee should have done a lot more vetting before letting this go public. For example, one simple question he could have asked her, did your dad really come and pick you up that night? Like, come on, that's a super basic thing to check. I mean, if you're making allegations this serious, you need to have every single detail locked down. And here's where it gets tricky. Apparently, the driver who drove her to the VMAs and to the after party has passed away. That's really sad, but even then, they should have been asking around for any other witnesses who were there that night. That's just step one of vetting this case, and it's wild that this wasn't done thoroughly. Look, going up against someone like Jay-Z is no joke. We're talking about one of the biggest names in the music industry, a literal billionaire with a lot to lose. He's not just fighting this case, he's fighting for his reputation, his brand, his businesses, and let's not forget, his wife. I mean, this is Jay-Z. He's not going to sit back and let these accusations float around without fighting tooth and nail to clear his name. Now here's the kicker. After Tony Buzbee named Jay-Z in the complaint, he was all over Twitter talking about the case. You know, posting tweets, making a big deal out of it. But now, silence. Crickets. Buzbee's not saying a word anymore, and that's making people ask some serious questions, like, why go so hard at first just to suddenly go quiet? Jane Doe has apparently admitted that she might have made some mistakes. Yikes! That's definitely not the kind of thing you want coming out in a case like this because it starts making the whole story look shaky. Now, don't get me wrong. Jane Doe is still standing firm on her main claims. She's not backing down. But when you're dealing with powerful people like Jay-Z and Sean Combs, you can't afford to have even the tiniest hole in your story. Because let's face it, they're going to exploit any weakness they can find. And with the kind of resources Jay-Z has, he's going to make sure every detail gets dragged into the spotlight, no matter how small. What really blows my mind is Buzbee's excuse. He said, "Oh, well, this case was referred to us by another law firm that already vetted it." Like, bro, what? That doesn't absolve you from doing your own investigation. If you're the one bringing this case forward, you're responsible for making sure everything checks out. Passing the buck isn't going to cut it here, especially when you're dealing with someone like Jay-Z. So what do you guys think? Is Jay-Z fighting back too hard? Or did Tony Buzbee drop the ball here? And how do you feel about the inconsistencies in Jane Doe's story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I need to know what y'all think about this wild situation. See you in the suggested video.